Hi, I'm Tony Hall from Navigator Consulting. For 20 years, we have helped grow recruitment companies. I've owned recruitment companies, led recruitment companies, and consulted to dozens of recruitment companies on business growth and strategy. I sit on boards, I help with business planning, strategic planning, and everything around growing a successful and profitable recruitment company. This presentation is about how the 360 recruitment model is obsolete, and more importantly, what can be done about it. What it's like to be a recruiter. You'll see here on this slide, imagine a browser with 2,567 tabs open. That's what it's like to be a recruiter. There is so many skills required to be a great recruiter, and there are so many steps to the recruitment process to get right. So no wonder it's difficult to find great recruiters. Here's a recent job ad for a state manager for recruitment. And you can see here it's reporting to the country manager. Roles and responsibilities: hire, manage and retain high-performing 360 recruitment teams, providing leadership across both contract and perm. Achieve growth of 25 plus recruiters within 18 months. Now, the big question here is, well, first of all, this role is a really big role for someone. I hope it pays really well. But the most glaring problem here with this ad is, where is this poor person going to find 25 plus recruiters? How are they going to attract them? How are they going to set up a value proposition that this particular company is any better than the other 3,000 other recruitment companies out there? It's a huge challenge, and I wish this person in this new role all the best, but I really doubt they're going to be able to achieve that goal. Here's some statistics for you. Recently on Seek, there was 1,630 recruitment consulting jobs. Sure, some of them might have been reposted or doubled up, but that's a lot of jobs looking for 360 recruitment consultants. Not only are recruitment agencies looking for recruitment consultants, but companies who have their own internal recruitment teams are also looking for recruitment consultants. It's a huge challenge. There's massive demand, and as we know, there's very short supply, especially with the crackdown in immigration, particularly from the UK, where we've sourced many, many recruiters in the past. It's becoming harder and harder to bring people in from other countries, and that doesn't always work out. It can be an expensive and risky process. We also have around 48% staff turnover in the recruitment industry. Now, this is very, very high. It is probably because the demand for recruitment consultants means that people are taking more risks on hiring people that they're not too sure about, but because they really want to grow their business and add recruitment consultants, they're taking on people that they might not have normally taken on. It might be a factor of hiring people that just don't have the right attributes. It might be that the hiring process is a lot shorter than normal and not as vigorous as it probably should be, hence the high turnover. It could be the tremendous pressure on 360 recruitment consultants to perform that's causing this turnover, whether it's employers terminating people that aren't performing, or whether it's employees leaving because the pressure and the style of management on the role and what they were initially told about how the role functioned when they first started are very different, and it's causing them to leave and potentially leave the industry. Another statistic for you, rule of thumb, is that, some recent research rather has shown that the average consultant billings is $220,000. Unfortunately, if you combine salary and cost of seat, so an allocation of costs to a billing recruitment consultant, the cost of a seat is approaching $200,000. So with the average billings being $220,000, it's okay if you've got 100 recruiters billing that $20,000 profit differential, but that's normally not the case. And we can see here that 220,000 is not nearly enough in billings to sustain long-term a recruiter. So once again, huge pressure on finding high-performing 360-degree recruiters. And it's a big problem, and it's really impending on the growth of business. Let's dig down into the problem just a little bit more. So productivity is a really big issue here, because the limited consultant performance that we've seen here is probably due to the complexity of the recruitment process. It actually requires a high level of intelligence or cognitive ability to be able to conduct such a complex role that has so many steps. We've identified 50 steps in the recruitment process, which we also find on our website. But to be able to execute those 50 steps with a great deal of quality and efficiency is very difficult. It requires a person that's got tremendous communication skills, sales skills, administration skills, multitasking skills. So many skills are required to be a great 360 recruitment consultant that it is increasingly hard to find people with all of those skills, and hence the average consultant performance is relatively low. We talked about staff turnover before. Staff turnover is really affecting the recruitment industry because people that leave are often disgruntled. Disgruntled agency recruiters will go client side and do everything that they can to maximise the rejection of candidates put forward by external recruitment agencies. But those people in agencies are struggling as well, because they might be part of a small team doing a complex process with very demanding line managers looking for candidates to help them grow their divisions. So turnover is not helping the problem. It's giving the recruitment industry a reputation of being a high turnover industry. And I believe a lot of this problem in turnover is to do with how we keep sticking with the traditional 360 European recruitment model of having a recruiter do everything from administration to sourcing work, sourcing candidates, and the whole recruitment process that goes with that. We talked about cost as well. It's increasingly costly for a recruitment agency to hire recruiters that are not performing. It's costly both in dollar terms, but also morale. When people start, they don't perform and they exit the business for whatever reason. And then it makes it increasingly harder in the future to attract more good people. And it also puts a question mark around the business that existing people are in if they see such high staff turnover. And the growth of a recruitment agency is severely restricted by the supply of great recruiters. The traditional growth model has been adding 360 recruiters and creating divisions for them and building teams around them as they get promoted into leadership positions. Now, not all great recruitment consultants will become great leaders. Many of them don't have training to be leaders. Many of them don't have the inherent qualities or attributes to be a great recruitment leader. And that is probably also contributing to high staff turnover, both of their team members, but also the leader that may or may not be out of their depth and not able to manage recruiting and leading a team as well. So if we keep sticking to a growth model of adding 360 recruitment consultants with staff turnover approaching 50%, then the problem is just going to get worse and worse. And finally, we're dealing with a very scarce resource here. It's hard enough to find good salespeople, but it's even harder to find good recruitment consultants because we require them to recruit, to sell, to communicate, to manage relationships, to manage team members, to work as a team, to perform administration tasks that may not be in their nature to do. And so really, I think the high staff turnover in the recruitment industry, it's our own fault. We are trying to get people to do way too much, and we need to look at smarter ways of scaling a high-performing recruitment business. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. got 12 solutions to share with you. We're going to run through the 12 solutions, and at the end there's a summary of the 12 solutions, so that hopefully there's some great information here for you to be able to implement immediately and start thinking about the growth of your recruitment business a little bit differently. First of all, we need to break it up. As I mentioned, there's 50 steps we've identified already in the recruitment process. There could be more. And when you write down those steps and map it out, you'll be shaking your head thinking, wow, it's a very complex process. And if one thing does go wrong in that process, it can lead to an assignment going completely backwards or getting closed down, which if you're working on a contingency basis, it's very, very costly, because you're having people doing work and not getting paid because they're not conducting this very complex recruitment process efficiently, or they might not have the skills to do it, which is one of the big points that we're going to be covering off today. So in the whole process here, we've got sales, we've got account management, we've got recruitment, we've got resourcing, marketing, and administration. And with that, a whole bunch of other skills that go with it: selling skills, communication skills, multitasking skills, and lots of other attributes as well. So one of the first ideas is to start breaking it up. Every service company out there breaks it up. You have your technical people, you have your sales people, you have your marketing people, you have your admin people. There's not many other professions out there. Well, I can't really think of any that make the single person do the whole 360 role. I think recruitment's unique like that, and it's one of the big problems that we have in terms of turnover and in growth, that we're trying to make one person do way too much. So the first idea is to start breaking it up. Even if you break up the business development process and then have people that are doing the recruitment process separately, that is a very, very good step in the right direction. And we're going to talk about who's best at that sales process. But the most important part here is that the sales process shouldn't be done by the most junior people. The most junior people should be starting on the beginning of the recruitment process. When I say the beginning of the recruitment process, I mean the more basic parts of the recruitment process, such as sourcing, resourcing, and administration, so that they can really get confident with that part of the business before they're put in high-pressure sales positions, which, because of their junior or inexperienced status, they're not going to do very well when they're dealing with senior managers looking to deal with much more senior recruiters who really understand their business and understand the recruitment process well. Administration is another one, and we're going to talk about how to take away administration from the best 360 recruiters, because it's really false economy to be paying big salaries for a 360 recruiter and having them do low-level admin that can be done by more junior people. Number 2, outsourcing. In the US, recruitment agencies have been outsourcing the resourcing function and admin functions for the last 10 to 15 years. The Philippines and India have been big hubs for outsourcing, and the Philippines in particular has a very good reputation for resourcing, administration, outsourcing for recruitment companies. American companies have been using the Philippines now very, very successfully, and there's a very well-trained and experienced recruitment workforce in the Philippines that are less than a quarter of the cost of onshore people that would be really happy to work daytime hours and not overnight hours for Europe and the US, work daytime hours for Australian recruitment companies. So this is a workforce that Australian recruitment companies are starting to tap into. There's a bit of work in getting them up and running and getting them trained, but once they are trained, they're very loyal, they work hard, they're highly educated, they communicate really, really well. Of course, there's a massive cost saving, but that cost saving is not to replace Australian jobs in your business. That cost saving is so that you can allocate more resources to client-facing staff. That's where all the magic happens in recruitment. You want to be freeing up all your good people so that they can spend more time in front of candidates and clients, so that they can obviously bill more than that average $220,000 a year. Outsourcing is great for staff retention as well. Your best recruiters will will feel very, very supported if they have a dedicated resourcer that's, you know, less than $1,000 a month in many situations, that can really help them boost their billings by a lot more than that. That's really only one decent permanent placement additional will pay for an offshore resourcer to support your existing recruitment staff. I really recommend a dedicated resourcer per biller so that they can work as a team and that they can work well together to really expand their area of expertise and the market that they're recruiting in. The partner that we use is Seaforce Global out of Melbourne. The lady that runs that is Maya Davis, and she's from the Philippines originally, lives in Australia, but has access to so many great recruitment resources, admin people, marketing people in the Philippines that understand our industry and can be really productive as you're growing a recruitment company. So outsourcing, I believe, is one of the futures of recruitment and scaling recruitment businesses more effectively while reducing staff turnover and clearly being able to provide much better service and faster service to clients and to candidates. Now, another great idea for improving the 360 recruitment model is to free up your senior staff even more. We've talked about how outsourcing by using offshore resources, admin people or marketing people, is really going to help your existing staff to not have to do the whole 360 process themselves. But it's also going to free them up so that they can be out there doing more high-level business development. As I've mentioned, the best high-level business development is done by the most senior staff, and the most senior staff have a much bigger chance of securing new business because they're dealing at a more high level with other senior decision makers out there in the marketplace. So the more you can get your senior staff out of the office, and because many recruitment companies that we walk into these days, everyone is still tapping away on their computers, searching LinkedIn, looking through resumes, and that sort of lower level task, while important, is not great use of high paid senior staff's time. So it's really important to get them out there to be meeting new clients, but also meeting candidates. And we all know that candidates become clients very quickly. And we all know that reverse marketing of senior candidates is really important. And I challenge many recruitment companies to look at the candidates they do interview and what their interview to placement rate is. If a candidate, I've always said, if a candidate's always good enough to interview, they're good enough to place, and that reverse marketing candidates is the best way to develop new business. Introducing a good quality candidate to a client that you haven't worked with before is the most professional approach that there is, as opposed to calling up and saying, hey, we're a high quality recruitment company, just like all the others. What work do you have on at the moment? How can we help you? If you do have someone good to introduce to them as a first step, then that's a much more highly effective way of building new business. Now, very often in recruitment companies, as they grow, the admin load for the senior leaders, or particularly the owner or the managing director or the senior directors, becomes more and more, and it keeps them in their office increasingly and prevents them from being out in the marketplace, which is where they had success to build the company in the first place. Once tasks that are non-core or not that important are either outsourced or delegated to more junior staff, the managing director or the owner of the business or the senior directors can become chief sales leaders, and they are going to be much more effective in selling than a junior consultant. And it provides a lot more leverage. It brings in a lot more business for the company if senior people are out there meeting people. They'll generate candidates, they'll generate new business opportunities, and they'll help the business grow a lot more than if they are stuck in the office doing admin tasks. So I really encourage senior people to start thinking about how they can get into the marketplace more, because with technology, we start doing less. We rely on email, we rely on LinkedIn and other electronic tools, and we do less of the face-to-face, which is still very, very important in recruitment, because recruitment is about people. And if automation or AI or anything is going to be impacting or threatening our industry, it's because we allow it to by not building strong relationships and strong recurring relationships. Another alternative strategy to the 360 model is hiring biller leaders. Now, these are people that can lead teams, they can grow teams, they bill themselves to pretty much pay for their own salary. And when you think about it, these people are a lot less risky to hire. They come with networks, they come with people that they know to staff up the division, they come with great skills that they've learned over the years. Yes, they're a bit more expensive. Even if they're twice the cost of a recruitment consultant, that risk is so much lower than a recruitment consultant who most likely is going to be leaving the organisation 50% of the time, given the statistics that we have around staff turnover. A biller leader is going to be a lot more likely to stay. They don't want many moves on their resumes. They can't shake off short-term employment as they progress through their career. So I really encourage you to, as a growth strategy, instead of trying to find these really, really difficult to find 360 recruiters, to start looking for biller leaders who come with so many skills. They require less management time as well, and it allows senior people, owners and directors to be able to delegate more to some of these leaders to grow individual teams, rather than all the pressure being at the top to grow the business. Another strategy is to be growing your own talent. We talked about breaking up the 360 recruitment process and having more junior staff do more junior roles. So graduates, for example, are absolutely perfect to start off as admin staff, or even more importantly, as resourcing staff. So they learn candidate sourcing and selection. They learn the process. They can learn basic interview skills with more junior candidates. And they can really start moving up the ranks. There's many, many graduates out there that are looking for work now, and there's obviously no university course for recruitment consultants, but there is a huge group of graduates that might be specialists in the industry that you're recruiting in, or they might be in degree courses and diploma courses such as communications, where a very high proportion of those graduates come out looking for work when there's not work available for them because they're too junior. These people would be ideal to start training up as recruitment consultants. Once again, it takes more lower level work away from your senior people, so they can be spending more time in the marketplace and have the opportunity to build at higher levels. And the more junior people will have true career progression then, because they can start off, they can learn, and they can rise up through the ranks and really learn the process properly. Another thing that will really help reduce staff turnover and take the pressure off the 360 recruitment model. One of the things I've learned over the years that the training recruiters and training staff is so critical. Just relying on people's previous experience is very dangerous. They might have learned bad habits, or they might not have been trained properly in the first place. They might be missing many of the 50 recruitment steps. They might be cutting corners. They might be saying things that are just totally inappropriate in the whole recruitment process. And many people that are struggling and might be contributing to staff turnover in the industry simply might not have been trained well. I highly advise regular weekly training, short sessions, cover each part of the recruitment process every time, rotate the presenters so that everyone gets time to present a part of the recruitment process, or an area that they're struggling with, or an area that's really important to the business. Get outside people in, really vary it, but make it a regular occurrence to do proper training and make it interesting. And it's more important than anything, client meetings, candidate meetings, because if your people aren't trained well, they're not going to perform well with clients and candidates. I've seen recruitment companies absolutely turn around from a loss-making situation to very, very profitable simply by introducing regular weekly training that's interesting, stimulating, and really helps even the most experienced recruiters to improve their skills and get rid of old habits. There's many other markets that we can look at, but the one that I think we should be looking at now to overcome this problem with the 360 recruitment model is the US market. I believe the US market has been functioning very, very well over the years with a 180-degree model whereby they have salespeople, they have account managers, and they have recruiters, and they have resources. So they've really split it up into 4 parts, and even admin, if you like, as a 5th part. They've been doing that very, very successfully. It's a highly competitive market in the US. There's literally thousands and thousands of recruitment companies that are functioning very well in the US using a model which is more typical to a regular business model. Most companies have dedicated sales staff. Most companies have dedicated account managers. Most companies have dedicated technicians, or in our case, resources or recruiters doing the recruitment side of the process. So, it's important to have a look at that model and think, even if you're not ready to fully embrace the US model, but start breaking up the 360 model, and you'll find that productivity and staff turnover will decline as a result. When I'm asked what causes the staff turnover or the high staff turnover that's occurring right now, often I'm told that people have left because they're being micromanaged. And micromanaged, as we all know, is where managers nitpick on the activity and the performance of an individual. But it's not always the individual's fault, because they may not necessarily have the skills, the experience, or the training to be conducting the complex 360 recruitment process. So micromanagement, if they're really struggling, is only going to make it worse, and it doesn't really help them. I think activity measures are really important. For example, meeting X number of really good candidates per week, or for senior people to be face-to-face with X number of good quality prospects a week is really important. To convert candidates interviewed into placements is really important as well. Those activities are important, but micromanagement and the really nitpicking side of micromanagement is very counterproductive, and that causes people to leave. When people come and ask me for advice on which recruitment companies they should join, the number one thing that they say is, please, please, please let it not be a company that micromanages their people, because I don't want that sort of environment. I want a collaborative environment. I want to be set a realistic goal and target, and I want the support that I can actually achieve that target that is realistic. And that's what recruitment consultants are really looking for now. So I think it's really important to be talking about that and try and think about how micromanagement is not the best way to approach it. One of the best ways I've found in the past is to get a recruitment consultant at whatever level or whatever role that they're in, or any of your staff, to conduct a quarterly business plan. Have them really think about what their personal goals are in life and how their job is going to contribute to their personal goals. So the personal business plan is around their work contributing to their personal goals, and what sort of activities they need to do themselves to achieve their goals at work. And you'll find that people buy into their own goals, and you won't have to do much managing at all, that they're going to be motivated now because they've connected their personal goals with the goals of the business, and they're going to be more motivated to do this. So I've been using quarterly business planning for a long time, even a simple one page, and you review it every quarter in place of a performance review. I just take the word performance review because it's a very adversarial discussion. People know if they're doing well or if they're not, and your job as leaders is to help people, help them to do better, and help them to learn and grow. But if they're not learning and growing or don't want to do it, then that's a different conversation, of course. The other thing that I've seen a lot of recruitment companies do is spend time with the problem people in the company, or the people performing at the lowest level. And the problem with that strategy is that all that effort going into people that cannot or will not perform is often wasted time, because they might perform at a slightly higher level. But if you use that time and energy with your best people who are open to learning, open to growing, who have great future potential, then the return on effort is going to be a lot higher. Companies are often surprised when good people leave, and they ask them why they left, and the person says, well, I just didn't feel like you valued me anymore. I feel like I'm doing well and working hard, and I felt like I wasn't valued in the organisation. And the owner responds with, but you were doing so well, I didn't think I needed to spend much time with you. And this is what causes good people to leave and look for greener pastures, because they don't feel like they're getting enough attention from senior managers and leaders. And I don't think we should ever underestimate the old-fashioned pat on the back, and that you're doing a good job, and that extra learning and development for senior people to take them to the next level is so much more important than the effort spent with people that may or may not ever perform at a high level. Commission structures is the other thing here that we need to look at if we're deconstructing the 360 recruitment process. Obviously, you don't want to be paying commissions to people that are just doing the recruitment process and not doing the sales process as well. And if you do pay them commissions or bonus, it must be at a lower level than someone that brings in new work and recruits for that new work and does the whole 360 process. So the important point here is that a 360 recruitment commission structure is not going to work when you deconstruct the recruitment process and add a sales level or an account management level or a resourcing level here. You need to start talking more about team bonuses and team remuneration structures to reflect the work that's been done. I also advise keeping admin staff involved in the bonus structure as well, because they're very, very important to the efficient running of the business, and are so important in that team-based work that's required in the complex 360 recruitment process. So commissions must be kept really, really simple. Go to bonus structures, go to team bonus structures, communicate the structure really, really well, make them motivational. And I think it's important to make people really, really understand that their base salary is for them to do the basic work of recruitment. Their job is to do X, Y, and Z based on their salary. Bonuses and commissions are for doing over and above what they're being paid to do. So, and that's how it needs to be communicated. Not just making a placement. Yes, most companies pay commissions for making a placement, but when you think about it, making a placement is what someone's base salary is for. It's making placements that are regular and that are of increasingly higher revenue in nature, so that the business can grow and tough out times when the market does decline and the business requires people that are consistent in their performance. And the final solution to the 360 recruitment model being obsolete is thinking about a flexible workforce. For example, there's a huge group of mothers that were highly successful recruiters in the past. They were trained well. They understand the recruitment process. They performed well in the past. Many of them are open to coming back to work, whether it's full-time or even part-time. I've seen several recruitment companies that have been highly successful in job sharing, where two mothers returning to work, both previously experienced recruiters, they job share. One works the first 3 days of the week, and the other person works the second 3 days of the week, and then they're both in the office on Wednesday in the middle of the week to do handover, and they work as a team of two. And I've seen recruitment companies built on that structure alone that helps the business to be or to perform at a very high level, and also appealing to recruiters to join that business. So flexibility is important. Working from home, if the person is disciplined, not probably the whole week, but give them the opportunity to work from home when they need to, and if they need things to be done. But so long as they've got good structure and and that their goals are really clear and they know what's required of them, and then the flexibility of that, I think, is important, because the recruitment process itself becomes quite repetitive, and so going to the office every day can become quite repetitive. So anything that can be done to move people around and get them out of the office is important, and that's why getting people on client side as much as possible, or out there meeting potential new candidates and interviewing potential new candidates, breaks up the whole job of recruitment and makes it more interesting for people, and consequently reduces the potential staff turnover that could be occurring in the industry. And my final piece of advice here is that when implementing any sort of change, it needs to be done very, very carefully. A lot of people fear change. A lot of people will leave a business because of change, even if it's positive change, because they feel that they won't be able to cope with the change for whatever reason. So change management is a skill in itself. It takes, it should be a process that's very, very well planned out and done over a longer period of time, so people. The Obsolete 360 recruitment model can be broken up. It can be broken up into sales, recruitment, resourcing, and admin. This allows you to more easily find better quality people that are specialists in those areas and not have such a reliance on 360 recruiters. Leverage outsourcing. Australia is only just beginning to utilise this very powerful model that has been proven in the US and is obviously much lower in cost, but also supports your existing people so that they can be billing more. They can spend more time with clients and candidates, and it will also help retain your existing staff because they'll feel more supported. Also free up your senior staff. They are the ones that can bill more. They are the ones that can build relationships with clients and candidates. Any administration that can be freed up from them will really help them to bill more. Have your most senior people, your directors, for example, be chief of sales. Have them out there winning large pieces of recruitment business. They're more able to do it because they're more senior and they're speaking at an equal level with decision makers in the marketplace. Consider hiring biller leaders. These are people that will come to your organisation with lots of experience. They'll come with networks and contacts in the marketplace. They'll also know good potential future staff as well. While they cost a little bit more, they're much less risky to hire because they bring so much more than a 360 recruiter who will only work out around 50% of the time. Grow your own talent. Bring in people from your industry or bring in graduates. There's many great graduates out there who are very smart, and before you know it, will be rising through the ranks to be great recruiters. Training is very, very important. Regular training, even if it's short, involve everyone in training and you'll find performance will increase quite substantially. Support your best people first. Your best people are more likely to be performing at a higher level. They're more likely to increase their performance. Often we spend more time with lower performers and people creating the most problem in an organisation when really we should be spending more time with our best people who are able to deliver more with encouragement and support. When you break up the 360 recruitment process, you will need to change your commission structure. Do it gently and carefully and make sure that it's communicated well. Base salaries are there for people to do their normal job. Commissions and bonuses are for going beyond the call of duty and doing more than the base that you're paying them to perform that particular role. Also encourage and embrace flexibility in the workplace. Recruitment can be a very stressful job. It can be monotonous at times. Allow people to occasionally work from home if they're trusted, and make sure that they have goals that they're achieving, and it doesn't matter where they're located, so they can achieve it. This will encourage better staff retention and higher performance. And finally, if you're going to do any change, make sure you manage the change process well. Communicate in a very careful manner to all your staff what changes are occurring and what the benefits of change are. You need to do this more than just once, and you need to make sure you involve your people in the change process so that they are on board with the changes that are occurring and they will embrace that change. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation. If you would like to contact me, my email address is there, th@navigatorconsult.com, mobile 0419 213 000. Navigator Consulting for 20 years now has specialised in helping to grow recruitment companies. We sit on advisory boards and we have a very well thought out business accelerator plan that is the culmination of 20 years of learning how to grow profitable recruitment companies. So please be in touch and we'll be very happy to help you.